Mom, are we there yet? I asked for maybe the 10th time. 26 hours in a car will do that to you. At this point, I could have run home faster. Percy, for the last time, no. We got 2 more hours. Mom sighed. And I swear if you ask me again, I'm going to dagger you, put you in a coffin, and leave you there for a decade. Olivia giggled from the back seat. Most people would think Mom was joking or just being dramatic. In this family, it wasn't a joke. She'd done it before. Getting daggered was Mom's favorite punishment when we stepped out of line. Terrifying, but effective. And what she meant by dagger. Yeah, that story goes back about 2,000 years. Flashback. I'm Percy Winchester, 20 years old, currently in college. Olivia's 19. We were heading home for winter break, and the moment we stepped out of the airport, we spotted Mom instantly. She doesn't look a day over 25, even though she's pushing 40, and every guy within a mile radius seems to notice. Mom, I called out as she awkwardly tried to brush off some dude chatting her up. He turned, saw me, 6'4", built like I actually used the gym membership I pay for, and bailed immediately. Olivia zipped past me and threw herself into Mom's arms. Greetings done. We piled into the car and started the long drive home. Mom immediately launched into her interrogation. How are my babies? How are classes? Percy, did you get on a basketball team? Olivia, debate team? Any boyfriends? Girlfriends? Were you being safe? I love her, but she talks like she's trying to finish every conversation she missed while we were away. Mom, relax, I said. Everything's fine. Straight A's. Yes, basketball team. No girlfriends. And yes, I was being safe. The last part slipped out. Instant regret. Olivia's giggle made it worse. I'm good too, she said proudly. Still smarter than Percy. Didn't join debate. I went with chess club. No boyfriend either. These guys only want my body, not my heart. I'll explain later when Percy isn't around. Typical Olivia. She and Mom tell each other everything. I turned to look out the window, zoning out, and that's when I saw it. An 18-wheeler flying toward us. Too fast, too close. I opened my mouth to shout a warning. Too late. The truck hit us head-on, and everything went black. When I opened my eyes, everything was a blur. My body refused to move, like something was wrapped tight around me. Muffled voices drifted in from somewhere close, and for a moment I expected to wake up in a hospital. Machines, beeping monitors, the usual. That wasn't where I was. When my vision finally sharpened, I found myself tied upright to a wooden pole. 3 others stood beside me, slumped and unconscious. A thin tunic hung off my body, and a crowd of robed figures surrounded us. Their clothes looked straight out of a cult documentary. A soft groan came from my left. Someone else was waking up. I turned, and my heart dropped. It was my mom. On the other side, my sister. Both tied the same way I was, both wearing the same thin tunics. The third person on the far right started stirring as well. Then the chanting began. The floor under us lit up with a dark red glow, symbols burning like fresh blood. 3 of the robed figures stepped forward, each holding a sword. Panic slammed into me. I tried to scream for my mom and sister, but a gag cut the sound off. They reached the same realization I did. Their muffled cries tore at me, and when our eyes met, I saw pure terror. I couldn't save them. All I could do was give them a small smile before the blade in front of me plunged straight through my chest. Fire ripped through my heart, and as the world blurred out, I heard my mother scream my name. Then everything went black. No POV. The 3 bodies hanging on the altar were still. The swordsmen carved out their hearts with practiced ease, carried them to the altar, and lowered them into a bowl of thick, black liquid. They inscribed glowing runes onto the hearts with a gold and silver ceremonial dagger, then returned them to the victims' chests. While the witches and druids chanted, the wounds closed. Flesh knit together. The hearts began to beat again. The 3 victims gasped back to life. Their relief didn't last. The sword struck again, killing them a second time. The hearts were removed once more, placed into the bowl, now half filled with the same black liquid. The mixture caught fire on its own, burning until the hearts melted into a blood-dark substance that pulsed faintly. That glowing liquid was poured into 3 separate cups. Their bodies healed once more, and the victims were lowered onto stone beds. The cups were emptied down their throats one by one. The coven surrounded them and chanted until voices broke. The weakest fell first. The strongest lasted nearly 20 minutes. Only one which remained standing when the three victims suddenly jerked upright with harsh, desperate breaths. Their scara turned pitch black. A heartbeat later, they moved fast. Too fast. The chamber filled with screams as the newly reborn tore through everyone inside, draining every last which and drew it down to the final, frightened survivor. She tried to run. She didn't make it 3 steps.
Hey everyone, welcome to FanFic Canon. Thanks for hitting play. I'm thrilled to bring this fan-made story to life for you. If you enjoy the ride and want more narrated fanfics, smash, subscribe, and tap the bell so you never miss an episode. And if you want audiobook of a novel of your choice, join my Patreon. Request any title that's freely available online, and I'll produce a full narration just for you. Now, let's dive into today's adventure.
My body shot up, gasping for air from my position, laying down on something hard. When I opened my eyes, that was when all my senses assaulted me, like the 18-wheeler that killed me. Once that thought passed through my head, I felt like something took control of my body, and all of a sudden, I felt this burn in my throat. I stood up and darted to the closest person to me and bit into his carotid artery and drained him in seconds. It quenched the thirst somewhat, but not enough. I looked up and noticed my mother and sister did the same thing as me. Their scara were completely black, and they had fangs protruding from their mouths. I used my tongue and noticed that I also had fangs. This revelation didn't keep us distracted long, because the moment we noticed that we were all still alive, we darted like blurs around the room, draining everyone in the room. Once we were done with doing that, we all just stared at each other in absolute silence. Then my sister started to cry. I immediately went to her side to comfort her, as her mother did the same. We all let it sink in for a moment that we had just killed all these people. I kept a stoic face for my family as I gave them a shoulder to cry on while I was panicking on the inside, trying to find out what had just happened. I think we should leave. I advised quietly as I started to help my sister and mother to their feet. We made our way out of the room and out of what we now came to realize was an underground chamber. We kept walking and walking. It took us 2 days of walking to finally calm down enough to start speaking about what we know. We were all sighting down about to discuss the problem. So let's list the facts that we know of at the moment. We died in a car accident, there's no doubt about it. We wake up in the middle of what seems to be some kind of ritual where we die again. Then we're brought back just to be killed again. And then we wake up a 3rd time where we end up murdering and draining a group of people like vampires. I state in a no-nonsense tone, but that's not possible. Magic isn't real. Vampires aren't real. My little sister says in denial. I understand where she is coming from, honestly. This is all too much. The only reason I'm this calm and collected is because I realize I have a bigger problem, and that is taking care of my family. So I can't freak out. I'm going to be honest with you, sis. We don't have the time to be in denial. We got to start figuring out what is going on and make a plan for the future. I tell her in the calmest and softest tone I can manage to produce to help calm her down from having a panic attack. That was the moment my mother decided to speak. If we want to figure out what happened, then we'll have to go back into that place, and I am in no mood to go back to that godforsaken place. My mom says with hard eyes, I realize that, and I know that you guys don't want to go back. That is why all I am asking you is to stand outside and wait for me while I try to find anything that can help us. I tell them, and they both snap their heads in my direction. You can't be serious. I am not letting you anywhere near that place. My mom all but yells. Me and my sister fall down, holding our ears from the pain we felt. When I regained my bearings, I could see my mom cringe. My mom was always a sweet woman, so the last thing she ever thought of doing was causing her children pain. It's all right, Mom, I won't do anything dangerous. Just let me go back down there and see if I can find anything. I tell her, and I can visibly see her calm down and mull it over. Fine, but we are all going together. I am not leaving any of my children behind. We both agree, albeit my sister did it so reluctantly. We headed back for the underground chamber. When we made it back to the underground chamber, we started looking around, trying to find anything of use in giving us a chance to find out what was happening. After about an hour of searching, we finally found a hidden chamber. Inside the chamber, we found a little study with a diary. When we read the diary from cover to cover multiple times to make sure we didn't miss anything, we were shocked beyond words by the revelations. 1. These are what these people call witches and druids. And in an attempt for them to find immortality, they had called upon the darkest of all the dark magic death. We were 3 of the finest specimens they had found while ransacking a town. They put us in a deep slumber and woken us up right before the ritual started. 2. We found out that the date is right now the 1st century, almost 2,000 years before our time. The revelation also brought us to know that we had indeed turned into vampires. After we sat there in that study for a good 2 hours in complete shock and discussing what our future plans were, when we finally decided to just stick together and be a family till we die. As we left the office, we decided to bring up every little detail we could think of vampires and their abilities and weaknesses. We were back in the forest testing out our more common abilities. These are the abilities we have confirmed so far. 1. Super speed. 2. Super strength. 3. Super senses. 4. Super durability. 5. Accelerated healing. We found out that last one by accident when Olivia accidentally used her super strength and pushed me off a cliff. I was completely fine, except a broken finger that healed within a minute. We also found out that we don't have a particular weakness to wood or sunlight. Everything was pretty fun after our little traumatic experience. That was until after a week of super speeding through the forest, we finally found a settlement of people who we decimated and left completely devoid of life within 2 hours. We had forgotten one of the biggest downsides to being a vampire, the bloodlust. We took some new clothes and left that village as fast as we possibly could and spent the next 2 weeks in depression. We didn't forget to hunt animals this time around and made sure we had at least 1 meal a day. Surprisingly, after 2 weeks of depression, we were starting to go back to normal again. I have a theory that when we were changed, it also rewired our brains on a more emotional level. We noticed that we don't need sleep. We can sleep, but we don't need it to all. We function 100% with or without sleep. Also noticed all bodily functions have stopped. We also don't need to eat, and when we did decide to eat the meat, just tasted bland. So we came to the conclusion that our taste buds have been severely dulled. While we were hunting for some deer and elk, a grizzly bear came out of nowhere and tried to maul and maim my little sister. We were so focused on the deer and elk that we never saw the bear coming. And when we did realize it was there, we were all in so much shock that we completely forgot that we were vampires. No, my mother yelled, and just as the bear was about to chomp down on Olivia, a barrier manifested itself in front of her. The barrier had a faint golden outline with a very faint golden glow. The barrier was there long enough for me to snap out of my momentary stupor. I rushed over and killed the grizzly bear. Just after I killed the bear, the barrier disappeared and my mother fainted. After our little encounter with the grizzly, we had come to realize that we weren't your everyday average vampires. We kept traveling and learning throughout the years. We learned that my mother had an ability that we like to call the absolute barrier. Why do we call it that? Well, simple really cause it is absolute. No attack can penetrate it, we had quickly realized through our travels. No physical attack nor magical attack. We found more witches and druids along the way. They had tried their absolute best to kill us. We came to a very quick realization that we can't die. They had lopped of our heads, pulled out our hearts, burned us as fire, and one even tried to drown us. But we found out that we can be mummified after this one, which had trapped me and just wouldn't stop trying to find a new way to kill me a few times a day. It took my mother and sister a full month to finally find me and kill the witch. When they found me, I was mummified, but after a little bit of blood, I was as good as new. They even made these cool silver daggers that are dipped in a mixture of herbs and topped it with some white oak ash. The only thing that accomplished was mummifying us. After about a decade's worth of travel, we had finally come to realize that we were in North America. Another interesting thing we found out was that we're in the Twilight universe. How do we know this simple, really? We found a man pretending to be a god. He was faster and stronger than any man. He could manipulate air currents, and he glowed in the sun like he was made of diamonds. We killed him cause he was hostile. He shattered like glass. We also found out that we resemble Vampire Diaries type of vampires. So we classified ourselves as night walkers and them as cold ones. Throughout our travels, we have come to learn of a few more abilities that we have. We each also had one unique ability that was our very own. The ones we shared were 1. Compulsion. 2. Umbrakinesis, manipulation of light and shadow. 3. Dream manipulation. The umbrakinesis was a cool find. We have a stronger connection to the shadow part of the ability. We can barely use the light side, only to slightly distort sight to hide our face. The shadow part is cooler cause we can control shadows. It works really well to scare the shit out of people, especially at night, when there's shadow and darkness everywhere. But then we have our own unique abilities. My mother has the absolute barrier. My sister has telekinesis. I myself have what I like to call elemental affinity. Means I can control the elements near my vicinity. Can't make them appear out of thin air. They have to be there for it to work. My elements are fire, water, air, earth, and nature. I can also freeze the water, and I have an affinity for metals. We kept traveling everywhere and anywhere we could go. We have traversed all of North America. We spent all of our time together. We grew insanely close as a family. I mean, we were all each other had for all of eternity. By the end of the 12th century, we finally decided to see if we could make more of our kind. Also wanted to find out if they had any special abilities like us. Well, we had spent about a month trying to think of the best way to do that. In the end, we decided to kidnap a slave from one of the markets. Once we had the slave, we had tried the Twilight way, and to our disappointment, it didn't work. So we did it the Vampire Diaries way. That did work. After that was a success, we had kidnapped multiple different slaves from across North America and turned them too. We turned a few people whom my mother felt sorry for. Through all the pain and bloodshed, my mother never lost her kind heart. My sister and I had stayed about the same, except we had become a bit more brutal and savage. Throughout our research, we had noticed that these second-generation vampires are almost exactly like the vampire from Vampire Diaries, except these ones have inherited our umbrakinesis. They also have an immunity to wood and only burn slightly in the sun. Due to this reason, they have adapted to staying in the dark and mostly only coming out at night. To be honest, I'm kind of disappointed that no one of our species had manifested a special ability like the cold ones. As the years went on, so did we. We had decided to go on an animal diet like the Cullens would in the future. The taste of animal blood isn't half bad, to be honest. It has a bit more of an earthy taste compared to humans who have sweet taste. We had taken a liking to being called the original family. Nearing the end of the 13th century, we had come to hear that the witches and druids have come up with a new plan to take us down. They created an entirely new supernatural species in an experiment to make warriors that will fight their battle against us. The Shifters. They started with a little tribe in the country that will be named India in a few centuries. The experiment went wrong. They accidentally fused the tribe's men with the tribe's spirit animal. The Bonobi, the first of their kind, a tribe of people who worship the tiger. They turn into 7-foot-tall tigers when they shift. As humans, they have enhanced speed, strength, durability, and healing. Even though the experiment failed, the Shifters proved to be great enemies against the vampire race. They also found out it was a hereditary gene. Not all descendants get it, but some do. Due to the fact that even though it was a failure, it still turned out to be a success, they made more Shifters. The Zunis, the second of their kind. They worshipped the eagle. When they shift, they turn into 7-foot-tall eagles. As humans, they have all the enhancements, just like the Bonobi. The Quileutes, the most resent and last of their kind, the wolves. Each species has a special enhancement that is higher than the rest. The Bonobi have a higher durability and strength than the rest. The Zunis have higher senses and healing factor. The Quileutes have higher stamina and speed. The only problem is that they can't kill us, the original family. Nothing can. We were created from a ritual that called upon the very essence of death itself. We are the ones who cheated death not once, not twice, but 3 times. We have removed ourselves from the cycle of death. We are the true immortals. By the end of the 14th century, due to constant tampering with nature, witches and druids around the world were stripped of their power. With this act, it was known to all the supernatural community that the witches and druids have gone extinct. As the times kept changing, so did we. We had started to accumulate a wealth. We had started having relationships, even though we never truly fell in love enough to keep them around for all eternity. In the 18th century, the Volturi decided to start hunting down our kind. The division of the vampire species before that was about even. Now, due to their hunting, the vampire species went to war with each other. Due to this war, we have witnessed a sharp decline in vampire species in a grand total. The fact that the Volturi were more united and had less weaknesses than Night Walkers had the sharpest decline of the two. What used to be about an even division became so uneven that Night Walker became a rare variety. By the time the 20th century rolled around, my sister went nuts. She had been waiting for the longest time since we found out that we were in the Twilight universe to put herself in the middle of the story. She has had a crush on Jasper since we were still human. That brings us back to where we are now. The year is 2005. We are moving from Minnesota to the quaint little town of Forks, Washington. My mother decided to take a job at the school as the new history teacher at the middle school. My sister and I will be going to Forks High. She will be a junior and I will be a senior. She will be 17 and I will be 18. In flashback, when we finally made it to our new house in Forks. It was a big, nice 2-story house. 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom house. My sister had people build this house back in 2003. And the house happens to be located right across the street from Bella Swan's house. All right, kids, come on, help me with the bags. I know I could do it myself, but we have to pretend to be normal, so chop chop. Your poor old mother needs help hoisting these heavy-looking bags. My sister and I couldn't help but roll our eyes at her. After we returned, my mother had gotten a flair for the dramatics. We got here a month or so before Bella to start school at the beginning of the year, because my mother has to start at the beginning of the year. After we were done packing, we all decided to go to sleep. The next morning, we all woke up at the crack of dawn. We each did our own morning routine. When we were all ready and dressed, we had breakfast together. When I looked up at the clock, I noticed it was only 7 o'clock. So I decided to start up a conversation. So today is our first day of school again. How you feeling, sis? Because you know Jasper is going to our school. I teased her. Her cheeks flushed a light shade of pink on her slightly pale skin. She picked up a knife and threw it at me. Now, if we were a normal person, I would have dodged. But then she would just keep throwing sharp objects at me, till one hits, so I just let it sink into my hand with a grunt of annoyance rather than one of pain. You could have gotten blood all over my shirt. Do you know how hard it is to get bloodstains out of cotton? I yelled at her. She just dismissed me with a huff. All right, that's enough. I don't want either of you missing your first day of school. Our mother told us. We all start to leave the house. My mom takes her car and drives away to her new job. My sister turns around and looks at me. You want a carpool? My car hasn't arrived yet. Yours got here last night. I also don't want to run to school. We got to show up at school with just as much swag as the Cullens. I nod and get into my Bugatti Chiron configurator. I start up my car, and just as I do that, I remember something. Hey, do you know the way to school? We were so busy yesterday that we forgot to check it out. She looks at me straight in the face. You're an idiot, she tells me before giving me directions as we make our way to school. No POV. The high schoolers of Forks were all sitting and hanging around the parking lot when 2 different cars pull up at the same time. A silver Volvo and a red BMW. Everybody stops whatever they were doing to turn around to look at the cars that just pulled up. Out of the silver Volvo, 3 kids step out. A boy with copper brown hair with the looks that make all the girls salivate. The next one to step out was a boy with honey blonde hair, who looks like he just came from a photo shoot. The last one to step out was a little girl with a pixie cut. She looked so cute all the guys just want to take her away and hide her from all that is wrong in the world. From the red BMW, 2 kids step out. The girl was the first to step out. She has the looks that all the guys hard and all the women envious. The boy that steps out is huge, standing at 6 feet 5 inches. If it wasn't for the fact that he was a person, people would have thought that he was a grizzly bear. They've gotten somewhat used to this. The Cullens have been here for a while now. They still can't get used to how good-looking these people are. Just at that moment, a Bugatti pulls up in the parking lot. Everybody is wondering who that could be, because the Cullens only adopted 5 kids. Just like with the Cullens, 2 people stepped out of their car. When people saw these kids, they had to hold their breath, cause they were just as hot, or even somewhat hotter than the Cullens. The girl stood at a height of 5 feet 7 inches. She had long, dark auburn hair that reached all the way to midway her back, a heart-shaped face with blue eyes. She had all the curves in the right places. The boys almost tripped themselves when they saw her. The boy stood at a height of 6 feet 4 inches. He had short sunflower blonde hair, an angular jaw, and blue-green eyes. He had a swimmer's body with muscles for all to see. Just as they got out of their car, there was a gust of wind that caused the girl's hair and leather jacket to flap lightly, giving all the guys a good view of the tight blue shirt she was wearing. It also caused the guy's shirt to lift slightly, giving all the girls a chance to see those rock-hard abs in V shape. The pair made their way to the administration office. As they walked by, a whole bunch of guys wanted to talk to the girl, but the guy she was with was very intimidating. The Cullens, on the other hand, stared at them with curious eyes. Once we were inside the school buildings, my sister turned her head around, looked at me, and giggled. She whispered, so how the human ears couldn't hear. "You brought that gust of wind on purpose, didn't you? Don't even think about lying to me. I know exactly when you're lying. We've been together for the last 2,000 years. I can read you like an open book." "Yep," was my short reply. We made it to the administration office. When we stepped in, we were met with a middle-aged woman, red-haired woman, with a pair of glasses, sitting at the desk. The moment she sees us, she plasters on one of those business smiles. "Hello, how may I help you?" she asked very politely. "Hi, we're the Winchester siblings. We just transferred here from Minnesota. They told us to come here to get our schedules." My sister says very politely, with a little smile on her face. The lady behind the counters immediately went from a business to a genuine smile. "Oh yes, I heard that you two would be arriving this week. Just give me a moment to look for your schedules." "Oh, here they are. Here we go. Your schedules, a map of the school, and you will give this pink slip to your teacher and let them sign them. At the end of the day, you will give me back the pink slip with your teacher's signature on it," she told us. "Thank you," my sister replies and hands me my schedule, map, and my pink slip. We say our goodbyes and start making our way out of the building. Due to the fact that we are in different grades, my schedule is different from hers. I start with history, and she starts with English. "Well, see you at lunch," I tell her, and start heading my own way. I made my way to my classroom. When I entered the classroom, the teacher turned and looked at me curiously. "Hi, I'm Percy Winchester," I tell him while handing him my pink slip for him to sign. He takes my slip, signs it, then introduces himself. "My name is Ms. Aubrey. I'll be your history teacher this year. Why don't you introduce yourself, Mr. Winchester?" she asks me. I turn to look at the class. Most of the girls already making weddings plans for when we get married. The dudes are studying me. Most are envious of my good looks. I'm pleasantly surprised to find Emmett sitting in the back. "Hi, my name's Percy Winchester. My sister and I had just arrived yesterday from Minnesota. I like all things sports, also big fan of chess. I'm 18 years old." I tell them. My introduction was kind of weird, but it's either nobody noticed or they chose to ignore it. "Very well, Percy, why don't you join Mr. Cullen in the back there? Mr. Cullen, can you please raise your hand for Mr. Winchester?" My teacher says. I see Emmett raise his hand. I walk over to him and take the seat next to him. The class went on pretty well. Halfway through, we had to do an assignment in pairs. So Emmett and I decided to work together. "Sup, man?" He asked me with the signature Emmett goofy grin. Man, this guy's good mood is infectious. 'Cause now I'm also grinning at him. Not much. So dude, since I'm a new guy, the first person who gives me a good impression becomes my friend. So tell me, friend, anything interesting to do in this little town? I ask him. "Well, friend, I don't get out much. I usually stay home and play video games. I also play different sports with my brothers." He tells me. At the end of class, I feel like Emmett and I really hit it off. The day went on, and lunch finally arrived. I met up with my sister before we decided to head in to the cafeteria. The moment we entered the cafeteria, quieted down somewhat. We headed for the lunch line, got our food, and sat down at an empty table. "How has your day been going so far?" I asked my sister as I try to ignore all these thirsty stares sent in my and my sister's way. I am genuinely debating killing every guy in this cafeteria for staring at my sister that way. It's been going good. Met this girl named Alice in art class. She's nice. We hit it off pretty well. How about you? anything of interest happen? She asks me. Met this guy named Emmett in first period. He was pretty cool, and his good mood is really infectious. I mean, I was kind of bored with all of this. But he gave me some goofy grin, and all of a sudden I'm smiling too. I don't get it. I tell her honestly. After that, we just make small talk to keep up the facade of being normal. Edward POV. When we got to school today, we didn't know that we would be getting new kids today. So imagine our surprise when a Bugatti pulls up. Two people step out of this car. A boy and a girl. They were inhumanly beautiful. They were new kids from what I could gather from the people around me. I try to read their mind, but I quickly found out that I can't. Once they were gone, I decided to address this to my family. Guys, I can't read their mind. I told them. I got straight to the point. When I turned around to look at them, I noticed Alice had gone into one of her vision. When I read her mind, I could tell that she couldn't see their future. Clearly, it was all blurry. I can't see their futures either. I can tell everyone around them, but I can't tell their specific future. I can tell their futures based on how their environment affects them, but I can't see their choices. Alice announces to everybody. We all decided to let Carlisle know about this. I can still feel their emotions. Their emotions tell me that they're bored and excited at the same time. That makes sense. Jasper's power is a lot more versatile than ours. We decided to wait and see for now. When lunchtime rolled around, we decided to sit in our usual spot. Once we sat down, the new kids decided to enter the cafeteria. All have decided to listen to their conversation. They were having a normal conversation. When the girl, Olivia, mentioned Alice, I could see my sister smile at that. And when the boy, Percy, mentioned Emmett and their little interaction, he gave one of those goofy grins he's so known for. The day ended quite quickly today. We all left to go for home immediately. Once we got home, we told Esme all about these new kids. Just when we finished telling Esme, Carlisle arrived at home. We immediately called for a family meeting. Today, during this family meeting, we will be discussing the 3 new additions to the neighborhood. He started off. They seem human, but there is just something about them that just screams supernatural. Normally, when people try to talk to us, they are attracted to us, but their instincts scream danger. But these two were too calm. There was also an attraction and interest when the boy looked at Alice. The girl seems to have developed a crush on me from the moment our eyes met at lunch. Jasper gives his breakdown of the situation. I say we kill them and be done with it. I don't feel like moving, and if these people are going to start snooping around us, then we might as well do a preemptive strike. Rosalie says with her usual scowl, we are not going to kill anyone. We don't know who these people are. How about we start with getting to know them a little? See who and what they are. Carlisle says. Rosalie seems to huff at that proposal. Why don't we let me get close to the boy? He is very attractive, and I always have liked a good puzzle. That's mostly because there are never any puzzles I can't figure out. Alice states in a matter-of-fact tone. All right, we'll go with that plan for now, Carlisle announced. With that, the family meeting was over, and everybody went their own way. While I was playing my piano, I just couldn't get this weird feeling from my gut that things are going to get really interesting really soon. It has been about a week since our first day at school. Olivia and I had to turn down so many dates, it was insane. Now I know what the Cullens felt like. But the funny thing is my relationship with Alice had taken a drastic turn from the first day onward. She's always near me. At lunchtime, she's always sitting next to me. This one time I decided to skip class and sleep in the woods. I woke up with my head resting on her lap while she played with my hair. My sister is kind of jealous, cause her interactions with Jasper have been extremely neutral. This entire week has been quite nice. One thing we haven't done yet is meet our neighbor Charlie Swan. So that is what we are doing today. It is around 8 o'clock right now, and the police cruiser is outside his house. So my sister went over to invite her to dinner. My mom made lasagna tonight. Even though our senses have been dulled, we still enjoy eating from time to time. My mom is sitting at the head of the table, me to her right, Olivia to her left, and Charlie is sitting at the other end of the table. We decided to get the ideal chit-chat going. So Charlie, tell me, do you have any kids? My mother asked him. She knew the answer, but we have to pretend like we don't. Yes, I have a daughter. She lives with her mother down in Phoenix. He tells my mother. He seems kind of uncomfortable with this whole situation. Ooh, are you married? My mother asked. I swear I can hear anticipation in her voice. What could possibly be the reason for that? No, I'm divorced. He says. Well, that is unfortunate. You seem like a great guy. My mother says in her usual sweet tone, "I'm really sorry. I know this is very rude, but I have to ask, how old are you? 'Cause if you are as old as you look, I find it hard to believe that you have 2 children." Charlie asked. There was so much curiosity in his tone of voice. "Well, if you must know, I'm 38 years old. I had Percy by accident when me and my husband were having one of our more adventurous nights when I was younger." I felt absolutely mortified at what she was saying. I couldn't believe she was telling this to a stranger. He and I got married the moment we knew I was pregnant. Olivia came a year after Percy. Those were the happiest moments of my life. She tells us with the sweetest smile on her face. So I find it quite impossible to stay mad at her. "So you're married?" Charlie asks with the slightest hint of disappointment. It was so slight that I believe even Jasper would have a problem detecting it. I'm getting a foreboding feeling from this whole thing. Why are they acting this way? Not anymore, no. My husband passed away a few years ago. He was a soldier in the Navy. My mother says, hiding her sadness with her smile. "Well, my condolences. May he rest in peace." Charlie says. Throughout this entire dinner, neither Olivia or I have said anything. We were just watching things play out. When I turned to look at her, she had that same look in her eyes. We knew that there was a large chance that Charlie might become part of the family. After our first dinner with Charlie, it had become a common occurrence for him to have dinner at our house almost every day. Personally, I like Charlie. He's a bit awkward. That might just be because he doesn't spend a lot of time around his own kid or kids in general, but he's a nice guy. Also, my mom seems to like him. I am honestly extremely confused by how that came to be. When in God's name did they find to meet each other? My sister found the whole thing weird too. We had speculated that it was one of those love at first sight moments, but I mean, is that even possible? In the end, we chalked it up to us being in a weird universe where love is everywhere. I mean, there are couples everywhere. I have barely met a single person who is older than 25, who isn't a widow or divorced. It's hella trippy. Another thing we realized is if things keep progressing the way they do, Bella might become our stepsister. In all honesty, we have nothing against her, but she is too much of a danger magnet for her own good. Olivia doesn't feel like becoming personal bodyguards. The main reason for me is because I wouldn't get paid enough to do it. Speaking of Bella, last night, at dinner, Charlie mentioned that she would be arriving today. Since it was her first time back in quite a while, he decided to take her to the diner. Get her something familiar, before springing on the fact that they would be having dinner with a family of people who just moved in and that she's never met before. So we had a little family meeting tonight to discuss how we will proceed further. Guys, dining room now. It's time for a family meeting. We need to discuss how to handle the situation now that we know that the storyline is going to start. I announced as we all took a seat at the table. I say we become friends with Bella and drop small hints of a supernatural world. That way, when Edward tells her about it, she won't be caught completely off guard. Olivia says, "I think that's a wonderful idea." My mom says with stars in her eyes. After she said that we had come to a conclusion that the meeting was over, but before anyone could leave, I decided to address the elephant in the room. "Before you both leave, Mom, we need to talk." I tell them with a serious face. They both decide to sit down again, so I decided to continue. "It has come to our attention that you and Charlie seem to have chemistry. Is there perhaps something we should know?" I asked. Right after those words left my mouth, the entire room became awkward. "Ah, yes," my mom says. She seems a bit nervous and just as awkward as the two of us in this situation. Well, Charlie and I do indeed have some chemistry, as you put it. It was just when I first saw him, he just seemed like a guy I could trust and put my faith in. He also reminded me of your father. They are so alike. Also, your mother had always had a thing for men in uniform. After my mom said that last bit, my sister and I just disappeared. We do not need to know what our mom's type is. Next day, we were about to leave our house when we noticed a girl crossing the street coming in our direction. Now, why would Bella be coming to our house at this hour and not going to school? Well, the answer is, due to the fact that we moved and Charlie never bought that truck, because my sister oh so wisely offered to carpool with Bella. I'm just glad that she has her own car, so I don't have to drive them. Bella POV. I got here yesterday from scorching Phoenix, Arizona to freezing Forks, Washington. After my dad picked me up from the airport, we had this awkward silence going till he started asking me questions about my life with Mom. That just led to awkward small talk. when we finally arrived home. While that feels weird to say, when you haven't been here in almost 3 to 4 years. I also noticed a new house that wasn't there before. Then again, I haven't been here in a while. What I found weird about the house is it looked modern, and the car parked in the driveway definitely means that the family living there is not low on cash. Hey Char, I mean Dad, who are the people living there? I ask him. Since I'm going to be living here for the foreseeable future, I might as well get closer to him. Oh, those are the Winchesters. They're a nice family. The mother's a widow who moved her family here from Minnesota. Charlie answers my question with a bit more emotion, which I find weird, but I decided to ignore it. We put away all my stuff and then had dinner at the diner. Bella, the Winchesters, offered to carpool you to school tomorrow. He tells me out of the blue. After dinner, we got home and started to contemplate if the people at school will like me. I contemplated all night till I fell asleep. The next morning, I woke up and did my morning routine. After I was done doing that, I looked out of my window and noticed that the cruiser is gone, which means that Charlie already left for work. I had some toast for breakfast and left the house. While crossing the road over to their house, I noticed their front door open. 2 people came out of the house, 1 boy and 1 girl. They looked like supermodels. They both turned to look at me. They looked curious. I decided to introduce myself. Hi, I'm Bella. My dad told me that I'll carpooling with you guys today. Hi, I'm Bella. My dad told me that I'll carpooling with you guys today. Bella introduced herself. As I stood there looking at her, the star of the movies and the books, the person who this universe gave plot armor. I have to admit, I don't know what Edward sees in this chick. I mean, sure, she's easy on the eyes, but I mean, come on, bro. She's not that pretty. But hey, she's not my problem. Hi, my name is Olivia, and this is my brother Percy. Yeah, I had offered to take you to school today. My sister says, while sticking her hand out for a handshake. I do the same. After we had exchanged pleasantries, we decided to head on over to school. I took my own car because even though I know Bella is the silent type, I still don't want to be stuck in that awkward atmosphere. As I was pulling up in the school parking lot, I noticed Alice. I honestly have no idea where this is going. She tells me that we are friends, but she acts like we are dating. There is also the thing with Jasper. I mean, I don't want to steal another man's women, you know. So I have been very passive in this relationship, always paying attention and not doing anything. But as a man, this is fucking torture. I mean, you have this cute girl that can be really sexy. I mean, she looks just like her movie counterpart, except better. So I'm getting a headache just thinking about it. What the F*** is wrong with me? Here we have a 2,000-year-old badass vampire who has been part of almost every major war in history, has had hundreds of lovers in his long life, but he gets stumped by a girl. For F***'s sake. I should just man up, and so what needs to be done? Just like my old Spartan teacher used to tell me. We had just gotten off a boot that I had decided to make. My mother and sister just waiting to spend their times leisurely, but me as a history man decided to visit the Romans and the Greeks. I wasn't exactly sure which year we were in, but I knew for sure that we were before the AC calendar. So I had rushed to make a sturdy boot for us to use to travel to the other side of the world. It wasn't that hard to make it to the other side with my control over the elements. We had smooth sailing all the way. My mother's barrier made sure that when we made it to a storm, nothing would affect the boot. My sister and her telekinesis would lift the boot over big waves during storms. When we had finally arrived at the other side, I had come to realize that I had arrived too late. The Spartan era was over. It had been over for almost 1,000 years, but through my travels over the lands, I had managed to find a small group of people who still pass on the teachings of the Spartans. I had asked them to teach me, and after passing some physical trials they had set up and that I passed, they had agreed to teach me. They decided that my teacher would be a man named Matthias. I had spent a total of 5 years training everything he could teach me. I remember one of our conversations about battle strategies. Flashback. You must always keep a level head when you're on a battlefield. You must read your opponent and see if you should be on the offense or the defense. Word of advice, always aim for offense. Make sure that when you hit your opponent, you hit him so hard he can't get back up. Never let your guard down no matter what. And finally, no matter what, a distracted man is a dead man. Matthias said. Yes, I answered back. For the last 3 years, I've been practicing everything, hand-to-hand combat, swords, spears, axes, and bows. I even learned to use a shield. Good, now we go back to battle training. Matthias said. Flashback end. Always keep a cool head in the battlefield. You know what they say, all is fair in love and war. So that would make love a battlefield. Keep a calm mind, and let's get to it. I step out of my car and notice that Alice was heading my way, so I manned up and did what needs to be done. I walked over to her, took her hand, and dragged her to the back of the school. When we got there, I decided to the all-powerful wall slam just to boost my little ego and make me feel like I have some word of control over this little vixen, and then I went for it. Alice Cullen, I feel like I have been passive long enough, but before I say anything, are you and Jasper a thing? I asked with a serious while staring down at her. I'm almost a foot taller than her. But she did something that completely caught me off guard. She giggled. I was in the moment, I was totally serious, ready for rejection, and this girl just giggles at me. I swear you could see a tick mark on my forehead. Tee, is it you were worried about? I honestly thought you didn't like me. Apparently, someone has been paying too much attention to rumors. Jasper and I are like brother and sister. The only thing is we click, so we spend a lot of time together. No, it wasn't the rumors. I know for a fact that you two were supposed to be a thing. I yell mentally. After I was done doing my little internal rage quit, I decided to keep on going now that I know she's single. Well, then I guess I don't really need to be so passive anymore. I say as I inch closer to her face. As I was about a quarter of an inch from her face, I pulled back and teased her. Now, it's not polite to kiss a girl before we have even been on a first date. So how about we fix that? I say, how about I take you after school tomorrow? I ask her. She looks like she's about to kill somebody. Based on her personality, she is usually one that teases everybody, so I don't think she likes it when other people get the slip on her. Fine, mister. You better be ready to give me a good time, 'cause I'm not easy to please. She says, trying to sound unaffected. Well, see. I answer back. The rest of the day was spent uneventful. What's the point of high school? I have like 4 master's and bachelor degree in different prestigious academies. But for the plot, after school, I met up with Alice, and we decided to take a walk in the forest behind the school. As we were walking, I decided that we should try to get to know each other better. This was more for her than for me, though. So, why don't we ask each other questions, and then the other one answers the question honestly? That would be the fastest way for us to get to know each other. The moment I say that, she looks at me with the same look in her eyes my sister gives me right before she pulls a prank that causes some kind of problem. In that moment, I knew that I'd fucked up. All right, that sounds like a fun game. Why don't I go first? How about we start with something simple? What's your favorite food? Pizza. Well, Italian food in general. There's just something about the Italian cuisine that attracts me. What about you? I don't really have a favorite food, but if I had to choose, then I would have to go with venison. I like it almost rare. Now, in all honesty, if I was a normal dude, that would be kind of weird, but I'm not your average Joe. I am none other than Vlad the Impaler, better known as Dracula. But that's a story for another time. All right, since you asked me my question back at me. That makes it my turn, right? She asks me. Yeah. All right, why does your sister keep staring at Jasper like he's a rare piece of meat that she has to have? Now, that was a question I didn't see coming in our little conversation. That, my dear Alice, is because she is absolutely and madly in love with your brother. She is so in love, in fact, that she even threatened me with death if I were to say anything bad about her to you that you could possibly relay back to Jasper. She also made me promise that I would ask you to say something nice about her to Jasper so that he could possibly go on a date with her. Honestly, I would really like to get her off my back. Well, that makes sense. I'll see what I can do. She says. After a few more minutes of our little Q&A, I decided to throw her a curveball and ask her a very heavy question. So how long have you been turned? I ask her. After those words left my mouth, she stops walking and looks at me. She's staring at me like a deer caught in headlights. What do you mean? She asked me, trying to hide her nerves. How long have you been a vamp? It's not hard to tell. Your skin is pale, you're unnaturally beautiful. You have gold eyes that change color and become either brighter or blacker, depending on how long it's been since you fed. It's honestly not that hard to tell. I start laying down some facts on her. So you knew. My family and I have been trying to figure out you and your family for a while now. We don't know what you guys are. We can feel in our guts that you're supernatural, but we can't pinpoint what it is. She tells me as she starts to calm down from her initial shock. I decided to throw her another curveball. Want to see something cool? Sure. I stop walking and take a step back from her. I then turn around and face her. I raise my hand up to eye level, and the wind around us starts to converge on my palm. After a little bit, you can see a ball of condensed air in my palm. I grab the ball like a baseball and throw it. It hits a tree and drills through it with no resistance. Now you can see straight through the tree. I turn around and see that she wants to say something, but I raise my hand in a movement to let her know that I'm not done yet. I put my hand on the ground and start to raise it, and as I'm doing that, the ground comes up with my hand. After I get my palm up to about 3 feet, I stop. Now in front of me is a block of 3 by 3 foot block of dirt. I take a step back and snap my fingers. The dirt falls apart, and what is left is a nice chair made of dirt in its place. I take her hand and let her sit down in the chair. I want to again lift my hands and pull the water out of thin air in my left palm and fire in my right. Once I show her that I finally allow her to speak. Alice POV. As I sat there in the makeshift chair, I looked on absolutely amazed at what I had just witnessed. My mind had trouble catching up with the events that had just happened. I was excited because even though vampires can have a huge array of different abilities, we had never had or ever heard of the ability to control elements, especially the ability to control fire. At the same time, I was frustrated. I have the ability to see the future. Almost nothing surprises me. But at this moment, I see none of the decisions he is making. I can also tell with 100% certainty that he is not one of us. So what in God's name is he? How did you do that? I couldn't help but blurt out, my mind still racing with questions and speculations. He looked at me in the eyes and gave me a smile and said, "You're asking the wrong questions, my dear Alice." When he said that, my mind raced for the right question to ask, but couldn't find the right question at all. So I asked the next best thing. Does everybody in your family have special abilities? His smile widened, and to be honest, it looked a tad bit creepy. I mean, can you blame me? If I was a regular girl, I would run. We were alone in the forest. He just preformed some kind of magic, and now he's looking down at me with a creepy smile, and to add more to that, the sun has started setting too. So even though Forks is dark in the middle of the day, it's even darker at the evening time. Yes, we do. But again, you're asking the wrong questions. The truth is, I know exactly what you are. I also know that you're not the only thing that goes bump in the night. He said, and my brain came to screeching halt at the second part of his explanation. If he knows what I am, why is he hanging out around me? Unless he's also something that goes bump in the night. As that passed through my mind, it just became more and more logical the longer I thought about it. Then it hit me, that was the question he wanted me to ask him. He didn't want me to ask who he was. He didn't want me to ask where he came from or what he can do. He wanted me to ask what he was. What are you? I asked the question with a hint of nervousness. The moment those words left my mouth, the look on his face changed from a smile to a genuine smile and chuckle, and that was all the confirmation I needed to know that that was the correct answer. That, my dear Alice, is for me to know and for you to find out. Try asking Carlisle. He knows more than he lets on. I mean, he was a good little soldier when it all happened. I don't hold grudges or anything, so you don't have to worry too much. Well, anyway, seems pretty late, I should go. When he said that, he gave me a quick peck on the lips, and all of a sudden the shadows from the surrounding converged on him, and he disappeared. In that moment, the only thing in my mind was to race home and call family meeting. I got up from the chair and ran faster than I ever run before. I needed to get home as fast as possible. The moment I got home, I yelled out, "Family meeting." Now, completely disregarding the fact that we were vampires and could have heard me just fine if I would have whispered it. Everyone ran into the living room, and Esme was the first one next to me. "What's wrong, honey? Is everything all right?" She cupped my face, extremely worried, but when she asked me if anything was wrong, the images of what just happened popped up. Edward immediately turned to Carlisle and started questioning him. What the hell is he, Carlisle? Better yet, what the hell are they? Edward seemed nervous, agitated, and anxious. This the first time that they have seen him this way ever since he returned from Alaska after his week-long retreat. He actually seems worse than that time. The rest of the family immediately turned extremely serious. "What do you mean, and what did you see?" Carlisle asked immediately. That's when I retold them about exactly what happened after we left to go to the forest behind the school. I conveniently left out that he pecked me on the lips, and now that I think about it, I kind of liked it. Luckily, Edward didn't snitch on me either. After I was done, we all stayed silent. The one to break the silence was Emmett, The ever-aloof, happy-go-lucky giant that he is couldn't stop himself from making a joke. "Well, damn, Alice, you got yourself quite the catch." He chuckled at his own joke, well until Rosalie slapped his arm. We spent the next hour in silence, thinking and contemplating how to proceed with the situation. Then finally Carlyle decided to speak, but before he could even utter a single word, Edward's face changed to one of utter shock. "They're called night walkers." That was all he said before he stood up and headed for his study. We all looked confused at what he was doing. He came back after a few minutes with an old journal. It looked to be over a few hundred years old. He placed it on the coffee table. He seemed to hesitate for a moment before he let go of the journal. That was a signal for all of that we could pick up and check the journal. Edward was the first to pick up the journal, and after flipping through it for a few minutes, he almost dropped the journal from shock. I picked up the journal. I flipped it open and started to read the content. I was also shocked beyond belief. To summarize, this journal contained a very large amount of information on the species dubbed the Night Walkers. They are just like us, a species of the category of vampires. This journal contained their history with the Cold Ones, as we are dubbed. In the journal, it is stated that we don't know where they come from, but what we do know is that they have a set of powers passed on from one Night Walker to another. They don't manifest abilities like us Cold Ones. It also states that they are individually more powerful than Cold Ones. It also tells of our war with them. The thing that gave it away was when he said that I was a good little soldier when it happened. The only time I was ever any kind of soldier was when we went to war with them. They put up one hell of a fight, and the worst part is that the longer they live, the stronger they get. We were just lucky that they better alone or in pairs. They're the reason our coven system was applied in the first place. He started to explain for us to get a better understanding of the Night Walkers. The Volturi felt threatened by their existence. They claimed themselves as the kings of the vampires, but the moment they found out that there is a vampire stronger than them, they immediately decided to do an extermination. Anybody who sympathized with them or that would help them was also killed. So I had to suck it up and do the Volturi's dirty work. I was still young back then. All I was thinking about was my survival. So no matter how much I hated it, I did it anyway. They had an array of abilities that made killing them harder. We could all tell that Carlyle went through some dark times. For one, the older they're, the stronger they are. We once met a vampire who was about 600 years old. He would brag about how he was one of the oldest of them all. He at that time was 2 to 3 times stronger than Emmett. When he said that we swallowed some saliva, they also had the ability to manipulate shadows and dreams. They were less durable than us, but that is due to the fact that our bodies were remade to be as hard as diamonds. While their bodies were still made of flesh and blood, they still taste food and can do everything any other human being can except get pregnant, because they're still technically dead. In exchange for less durability, they have accelerated healing. They also don't have problems moving around in the sun. They just receive sunburns and sensitive skin. And just like us, their senses are also heightened, except not as good as ours. This is the first ever sighting of a Night Walker with extra powers. We were all sitting in the living room, digesting everything Carlyle just mentioned. The ever-major Jasper Whitlock was the first to break the silence after a while. Do they have any weaknesses that we may be able to exploit in case we are in danger? Also, do we know what intentions they have? Are they here for revenge? Are they just passing through, or are they trying to hide from the Volturi? This question was directed at Carlyle and me. If you rip out their heart or decapitate them, they die immediately. They have a weakness to a plant called vervain, and they also have a weakness to platinum. These two don't actually kill them, they just weaken them. The problem is the older they get, the less effective it becomes. Same with UV rays from sunlight. The older they're, the less effective it becomes in slowing them down. As far as I know, only Night Walkers who are 100 years old or more have an almost immunity to sunlight. At 200 years old, they have a complete immunity but still get sunburned quicker. And lastly, at 300 or older, they will have no problem with the sun whatsoever. Also, the more blood they drink, the faster they heal. As he said that, he stood up again and grabbed another journal. The difference between these two journals was that this second journal has illustrations instead of words. When someone is bitten by a Night Walker, they have absolutely zero chance of becoming one. One has to be fed blood from the vampire straight from one of their major veins or within a certain amount of time after the blood has left the body through one of these veins. The person is then revitalized and healed to their peak physical form before the blood. After that, the person has to die. Once the person has died, he will resurrected from the dead. After resurrection, they have a 24-hour time period in which they must ingest blood. If they don't, they will die. This is the face of a night walker. He flipped open the book and showed us a drawing of the face of a night walker when they feed. They have fangs and have veins that protrude from their eyes. Judging by the fact that they don't seem to have a single problem with UV rays, they have to be at the minimum of 300 years old. So my estimation is that they are as strong as Emmett and almost as fast as Edward. If they are any older than our estimation, we are in serious trouble if they are here for revenge. Jasper said, "In all honesty, I'm going to confront Percy about it tomorrow. We have to know the reason they are here and also how old they are. If possible, if they are really old, we might be able to ally with them and have another group of people to depend on if we ever have some kind of problem." I said, "I don't like this idea, but it's the best thing we can come up with and the most reasonable response we have. Just be careful tomorrow," Carlisle said. After that, the family meeting came to an end and we all dispersed. When everybody went their separate ways, I decided to tell Jasper about the fact that Olivia has a huge crush on him, but ultimately decided against it. Next day, we had just arrived at school, and the first thing we saw when we got out of our car were the Winchester siblings watching us with a smile. The kind of smile that you give someone when they do something you want them to do. We went through the day not speaking to each other at all. None of us spoke to each other, and neither of the Winchester siblings spoke either. After the last bell of the day rang, I waited at the front of the school for Percy. The moment I saw him, I walked up to him, grabbed his hand, and dragged him to the back of the school. The moment we were outside of everybody's vision, I turned around and stared at him straight in the eyes. Neither of us said anything. I finally couldn't hold it in anymore and broke the silence. "Why are you here? What are you planning to do? How old are you?" I asked these questions in quick succession. A normal person would have a hard time to keep up with my questions, but by the way he smiled at me, I knew he understood me. "My family and I are here to get away from the busy city life and live a slow life of the town life. We are planning to live leisurely. As for your last question, isn't it rude to ask for one's age?" He couldn't help but laugh at his own little joke. "In all seriousness, why don't you try to guess my age?" It took me a minute to think about that. "A minimum of 300 years. I said, "That is the most logical answer I could think of." He chuckled and looked at me and said, "Oh, you're almost there. So close, try again. Before you ask, I am older." He said. I knew he was toying with me at this point, but I had no choice but to play along. I should mention random numbers. "How about 600 years old?" I gave a higher number knowing it was wrong. He said that I was close, so it had to be either 500 or 400. But I wanted to find out if it was closer to 500 or 400. "Once again, you were so close, just no cigar. I'll give you one more shot to think of an answer." He said, 450 years old. I had to guess this one correctly, or else who knows when he will tell me the answer. But he just shook his head, so I knew it wasn't correct. I had no other choice but to give up. He decided to keep the conversation going. "So what has the old man told you about us? Did he portray us evil vampires, or was he more honest with you? Us night walkers are quite the special case, want you say born with the ability of compulsion, umbrakinesis, and onirokinesis, or also known as somnipathy. There are very rare cases in our species where they are blessed with one more ability, but it is so rare that only 1 in a million of us have this ability. Hemokinesis, or better known as the ability to manipulate blood. The thing is we can only manipulate the blood outside of the body. There was one person who could manipulate while it was still in the body. Now he couldn't control people, but he could drain them faster than you could snap your fingers. He one time even blew up a person by forcing all of his blood out of his body at the same time. He said, "That sounds gross, but in all honesty, I was really interested in the person who could accomplish such a feat, so I had no choice but to ask him. Who is this mystery vampire whom you speak so of?" "Well, my dear Alice, he was none other than the man himself, Vlad the Impaler, or better known as Dracula, the very first of our kind. He has such good talent, too. I wonder what happened to the man. History says he was born in 1431. The truth is he compelled the people to believe he was Vlad the second son. A real blood-thirsty period for Vlad. Percy POV. When I said those words, I couldn't help but burst out laughing in my mind. I mean, none of what I said was false, except that last part, cause I know exactly what happened to him. That is because I am him. Also, I was reborn over 2,000 years ago. She would never guess that, now would she? I watched her face contort a little at the mention of the name Vlad the Impaler. I could see and feel the shock I had given her. I mean, who would believe that the stories of Dracula are real? More importantly, he was the progenitor of their race, just like the legends say in folklore. The Cold Ones have been a race who have existed for far longer than we could imagine. They have always thought themselves invincible. Finding out that you're not the strongest after your long reign of supremacy, it could do a lot to someone's mental stability. I could tell that I'd shocked her to the very core. I have been alive for the last 2,000 years, and to be honest, this right here is one of my proudest moments. I mean, how many can say they have shocked a clairvoyant to the absolute core? Someone with the ability to see the future was shocked to the absolute core because of me. Life is feeling good right about now. I noticed it was getting dark, and I honestly wanted something to drink. It's getting quite late. I should head home and get myself something to drink and eat. I say as I lift my finger and close her mouth, which was hanging open due to shock, closed. I give her a peck on the cheek and start walking away. As I was about to leave her range of visibility, I stop walking and turn my head back and say with a smile on my face, "My dear Alice, I almost forgot to answer your question. I am one of the oldest this world has. Well, except for the little club of old fogies who sit around wasting their eternity away, playing pretend. I am, after all, 2,000 years old." I let out a little laugh and take a step behind a tree right out of her sight and disappear. I now understand why villains love giving riddles to the protagonists. It's so much fun messing with people, watching them squirm for answer that you hold, while you kick back and enjoy the show. Alice POV. When he disappeared, I with 100% certainty can say that if I could, I would be drenched in cold sweat right now. Even though vampires have their mind unlocked, due to the fact that there are no suppressors or limiters on their mind or body, I still had to stay standing there for a few minutes processing what I had just been told. The moment my mind was able to somewhat grow stable, I once again broke into a sprint with a speed faster than even yesterday home. I once again shouted for a family meeting, not giving a sh*t about super hearing. We all went into the living room, and I recounted what he had told me. I recounted every single detail I could remember in that moment. Once again, leaving out the peck on the cheek at the end, and once again, I'm grateful Edward decided not to be a D*ck and rat me out. I knew that they were powerful, but isn't that much? I mean, we only get enhancements, but they get enhancements as well as a free superpower gift pack. Compulsion, umbrakinesis, onirokinesis, and some of them even have hemokinesis. This is just stupid. Emmett commented, and Olive couldn't help but agree. This was absurd. We are quite surprised at how we won this little war of ours. It dawned on me we never got a clear description of this little war. Carlisle, I have a question. I said. He looked at me and nodded. Can you tell us what happened exactly in this war, and how did we possibly beat a race of vampires that is so clearly superior to us? Also, they can obviously mass-produce vampires. Once I asked my question, everyone looked at Carlisle for answers, agreeing with the points I had raised. We won mostly because even though they can produce vampires at a faster rate than us, any vampire 100 years and under is weaker than us. So, in reality, it was only the older ones that we had to worry about. Only when they reached 200 years old would they be a real headache, any older than that, and we had to come up with strategies to take them down. We needed to make a plan A, B, C, and sometimes even a plan D. Many wars in human history between the period of the 18th and 19th century were actually secretly a cover-up for our wars. Due to the fact that our side had been alive much longer than them, we had more forces. It used to be that we outnumbered them 100 to 1, but after the war they had become an almost extinct species. Any of them who are found are immediately executed. If we were to put it simply, if they would have not been almost extinct, even with casualty on both sides, we would still outnumber them, but at the rate of 10 to 1. More than half the race of Cold Ones were exterminated in this period. And if my calculations are correct, if this guy is 2,000 years old, it's safe to bet that so are his family members. They each have an extra ability on top of their superpower gift pack. Jasper analyzed. We all had our fair share of shock these last few days. On top of this problem, I also have to find the right moment to befriend Bella, too. Even with all of the things happening around us, Bella and Edward's future never changed. It's like it is destined to happen no matter what. I mean, imagine that on top of being his singer, she's also his soulmate. After the family meeting, I grabbed my phone and made a phone call. Everyone was surprised at my action, so they decided to stick around for a little bit. Ring, ring, ring. Hello, this is Percy speaking. How may I help you, my dear Alice? He sounded like a telephone proctor until he said the second half, and we all knew he was messing with us. We could hear giggles in the background from women, most likely his mother and sister. Percy, I'm going to get straight to the point. The most important thing in a relationship is trust, and if you want us to be together, you're going to have to tell me who you really are. I try to say that in the sternest voice I could muster, and I could tell from my family's faces that they are surprised and happy they stuck around. The line went silent for a minute, but we have super hearing. We could hear them muttering to each other. Very well, he said with a sigh. I had an entire plan on how to keep giving you puzzle pieces and let you and your family figure it out, but my mother and sister feel like I have had enough fun. Do you know how hard it is to entertain yourself when you're 2,000 years old? I have been dying from boredom recently. We heard a chuckle and a smack in the background, and we were sure we heard bones breaking. Sis, did you have to hit me that hard? Now I have blood all over my clothes. You're doing laundry this week, and I have Mom as a witness, so you can't get out of it. Now, if you heard them argue, you would think they are an ordinary loving family, till you hear the context. Anyway, where were we? Oh yes. We are the first family, the progenitors of our species, and I personally also have the honor of holding the title of Dracula. Now, if you want me to tell you more, we, my good Alice, will have to go on a date. How about this Friday after school? Oh, Edward, my sister, says stop being a little bit *TCH and running away from Bella. She's tired of hearing her complain. One more thing, Jasper, my sister, has a crush on you and would like to go out on a date. Before he finished that last word, we heard the phone drop to the ground and the sound of bones breaking and a cry of pain. All the girls understood that he just overstepped his boundaries as a brother by telling her crush that she is crushing. Now I'm wondering who the strongest is into their family. And then the phone got cut off. All the boys were looking at Jasper with pity. Boys' thoughts. Edward, such a girl has a crush on you. Also, what do you mean stop being a little bit *TCH? Emmett, I feel sad for you, bro. I mean, if she could make a 2,000-year-old monster cry out in pain, I am scared to imagine what she would do to you if you pissed her off. Carlisle, my son finally has a girl he can date, although a bit violent. I'm sure she will be great. Jasper, I know for a fact that I'm the strongest out of the three of us. My mom has the best defense, but her offense is trash. My sister is the most versatile. She studied fencing and sword fighting with King Arthur himself. Found out that Merlin was a half-dryad, half-human, one of the very few male humans who could study witchcraft. The man was a little crazy. Except for being a rare male wizard, he was also one of the few who did not have prejudice against us. His mother, on the other hand, was very passive-aggressive for an old coot, mostly cause she couldn't hurt us even if she was in her prime. Too bad we couldn't kill the woman and relieve us of our miseries. I'm amazed she was even still alive. Like Jesus, how old was that woman? I know witches can prolong their lives, but wasn't Merlin himself like 100 years old? Getting sidetracked with my thoughts. It's been about a week since the call with Alice. Our relationship has progressed smoothly. Jasper and my sister even went on a date a few days ago. You can never really tell what that man is thinking, but I could tell that he was nervous. Not because of the date itself, but the person the date was with. Heard from Alice, he pulled out every ounce of Southern gentleman he had in him, so he wouldn't end up like me. As I thought of that, I felt my shoulder ache a little. The phantom pain will never get used to that. I mean, how does that even happen? I don't feel phantom pain from stab wounds or getting my arm blown off by a cannon. The reckless days, but the moment my sister breaks my arm, my mind just tells me to remember women are crazy and causes me phantom pain. Bella invited my sister and I out to the beach with her friends. We thought about it and decided not to go. We don't want to meet the lost puppy. But that was a big hint to where we are at in the timeline. It won't be too long before shit hits the fan. Goddamn, I might have been bored for the last 30 years with no action, but this is just a hassle. That reminds me, Creeper Peeper Arrow wants my girl to join his little band of creepy crawlies. On second thought, maybe it won't be such a hassle. I finally get to give him a nice knuckle sandwich to the face. Hopefully I put in enough force to decapitate him in one shot. Just imagining it puts a smile on my face. Percy, are you listening to me? Alice asked, as we sat down on a log behind the school. Huh. No, I was just having some wonderful thoughts about our next date. Lied straight through my teeth, put a smile on her face too. Well, at least you're thoughtful, you blockhead. I was saying that my parents, Carlisle and Esme, invited your family over for dinner. As I said last time, we were vegetarians. Esme was asking if you guys are fine with that. She asked. Yeah, it's fine. We went on a vegetarian diet a while ago because we had caused some problems and our mom forced us on the diet. She said that if we have no self-control, then we will have to be vegetarians until we do. I said with a smile, but in reality, it was kind of gross. Animal blood is like the fast food and greasy version of human blood. It's like having grade A beef your whole life, and then all of a sudden having frozen patties from the meat aisle in the supermarket. They will never compare. All right, remember diner is at 7, so don't be late, she said in a serious tone. All right. We have only been dating for like 2 weeks, and you're already nagging me like we have been married forever, I said with a teasing smile. Well, Percy, we are not young anymore. I still look good. Aren't you scared that if we aren't married, I might be stolen away? She teased back with a sweet smile. Let's see him try, I said with a very scary and sadistic smile. Oh, my brother is calling me. I gotta go home. See you tomorrow, honey, she said, emphasizing the word honey. I chuckled, took her hand, pulled her in close, gave her a deep, passionate kiss. When we separated, I said, see you tomorrow, honey, also emphasizing honey. When she left my line of sight, I let the shadows devour me and disappeared from where I stood. Cullen residence, next day. We had arrived at 7 o'clock on the dot. Before I could knock on the door, it swung open. What I saw on the other side was Alice. She came up to me, thinking she was going to give me a hug. She directly ignores me and walks up to my mother and gives her a hug. My mother seems as lost as the rest of us. After a solid minute of hugging, she finally let go. It's so nice to finally meet you, Mother. That one sentence threw us all off immediately. My mother turned and stared at me with a dark stare and finally spoke. You got married to her without telling me? She asked with a smile that promised a world of hurt or a few decades in that dreaded coffin if she didn't like my answer. The coffin was our for us. Was like when your teachers send you to the corner to face the wall in preschool or detention in high school, so that we could think about what I did wrong. I started to sweat, and I could see my sister finally caught up to what happened and smirked evilly and mouthed, You're dead. No, Mother. I swear that I did no such thing. If I got married, you would be the very first to know. I said as fast as I possibly could, trying my absolute hardest to defuse the situation. Apparently God was not on my side. Didn't you say yesterday that I nag you too much, as if we've been married for ages and that it's only been like 2 weeks? Alice said. That was the moment that I resigned myself to my fate. I had 2 options in front of me. Run away or leave myself to my mother's mercy. Right at that moment, the heavens answered my prayers. I'm just playing a little joke, Miss Winchester. Alice said. All right, you can just call me Alex, dear, she said with the sweetest smile. Alice then invited us inside. Once inside, we went to the living room. Carlisle walked up to us and started the introductions. Hello, to formally introduce myself, I am Carlisle Cullen, he said while sticking out his hand for a handshake. My mother took his hand and said, Hello, to formally introduce ourselves, we are the Winchesters. This is my son Percy, my daughter Olivia, and I myself am Alexandria. You may call me Alex, she said with a smile. As we were all mixing and mingling, drinking this animal blood, Edward announced that he would be leaving. Once he was out the door, I couldn't help but ask why he left. She explained that he wouldn't go pick up Bella. When I heard that, I couldn't help but smile. The story begins. My sister and I had already agreed that the whole James and Victoria thing was highly unnecessary. We could spare Laura on. That way Irina won't go all psycho bitch on us. That way I can personally invite the Volturi on my own terms. I'm going to enjoy tearing Peeper Creeper Arrow tea pieces. When I thought of that, I could see my sister stare at me with a knowing look. A few minutes later, we could all hear a car arriving, we all realize that Bella is here. As if on cue, Edward opens the door and walks in with Bella. Now, imagine the shock on her face when she sees my family here, drinking along with the rest of us. Her mind seems to have come to a screeching halt at the sight of us. She turns to Edward looking for an answer, and he just flashes her a smile and guides her inside. She introduced herself to everybody, and when she finally reaches us, she greets my mom and me, stares at Olivia, and asks one question. How? My sister asks, confused. How are you one of them? Edward told me that you guys can't eat, but you guys have been having dinner with me and my dad for a couple of weeks now. Your mom has even been on dinner dates with my dad. So I ask again, how? She explains with pretty solid logic there. Oh, that's what you mean. She points at my mom and me, are vampires in a more traditional sense. We have fangs and drink blood, have a weakness for sunlight. Their bodies, she points at the Cullens, when they're turned is more of an alchemy process, really. They turn from blood, skin, and bones to more of a crystal diamond, like anatomy. While we're still blood, skin, and bone, so we don't lose the ability to eat. Our body stomach acid is just really good at its job, so nothing is left after we eat it. That is why we never have to go to the bathroom. All of our organs still work, except we don't need any of them except the heart and the brain. She goes on to explain our anatomy structure, and I don't know when, but Carlisle got a notepad out from somewhere and is scribbling down all kinds of info. In all actuality, I have a theory that we can donate our organs to suitable donors. The only problem I can find with this, that if the patient isn't careful and dies, he would turn into one of us. Another major problem would be the fact that the patient would be healed within an hour or two, with no scars to speak of, and in peak physical condition, some might even say a bit higher than peak. The reason my sister has been rambling on is to show everybody her ability in the medical field. Also, she can bring up one plot hole in the Twilight. You know, that actually reminds me. In our long lifespans, we had come across many different things. One such thing would be the immortal children. Another one are hybrids. At the mention of the word, everyone outside of our family seems confused. Hybrids are half human and half vampire. It happens when a male vampire mates with a female human. This fact has proven that the male reproductive organ of the male vampire is working just as good or better than when you were still human. That leads to the question, does the female reproductive organ still work? When she raised that question, all the girls in the room perked up, putting in their full attention. My answer to that question is most likely yes. The most likely thing is that the eggs are fine, you most likely just don't release them anymore. So if we were to find a way to extract the eggs from a female vampire and the sperm cells from a male vampire, then plant this egg in a surrogate mother. Then, most likely a few months or weeks, maybe even days later, we will have a pure-blooded vampire baby. The baby will grow and mature within a few years. After growing to the physical appearance of a person in between the ages of 18 and 20. When she finished speaking, all the women had hope in their eyes to have their own babies. They then went to discuss amongst themselves. I decided now is as good a time as any to disappear. I grab Alice's hand and drag her away from the rest of the family. I pick her up in a princess carry and let the shadows take us away. As we exit hearing distance, I turn to look at her and say, "All right, my boo, tell me what you want to know. Because I know for a fact that you are very curious about my past." "How did you know?" she asked skeptically. "'Cause you wouldn't be you if you weren't always so curious." I answer her back. Just as she was about to start asking some questions, she goes into a daze. After a solid minute, she comes back with the biggest smile I have ever seen. She quickly grabs my hand and drags me back to the house. The moment we enter, we find Jasper and Olivia in a love seat. Rosalie is sitting on the couch with a scowl on her face while Emmett is taking to her, and last, but not least, the grown-ups are in the kitchen talking about grown-up things. "Baseball tomorrow in the afternoon," Alice says. That immediately catches the attention of the rest of her family. Even Rosalie stops, scowling. She rushes upstairs and invites Bella to come along. In the end, we all decided to hold a baseball game. After another hour or so of mingling, we all decided to head home. When we got home, my sister and I decided to have a little meeting. "So, how are we going to do this? What's the plan?" I asked my sister. I know for a fact that we're going to derail this story hardcore, No question about it. The question is, do we want the story to reach the station before we blow it up? Should we, demonstrate some of our powers and get rid of the Bonnie and Clyde pair? Or do we let them handle it, then take care of the rest? In all honesty, can we just let the story play out? I really want to fight again. It's been a few decades since I've torn some limbs. Please, I beg with puppy dog eyes. I threw my dignity as a man away faster than you could count to 3. The last time I got to be part of a good fight was WW2. I can admit I'm a bit of a battle maniac, but hey, live for 2 millenniums fighting in wars, and it will get to the best of them. I can live with the fact that I might not be able to join all-out wars anymore, but even if it's just a bar brawl, I'm all in. In the end, though, it's my sister's choice. I mean, she can just crush them with her telepathy like tin cans. Fine, but we're getting rid of James quickly and efficiently. No, but I want him gone, and so help me God, if you do something, I'm going to make Mom put you in a box. I know you're the strongest out of the 3 of us, but I'm your little sister, and she is your mother. You would never dare be too heavy-handed. You would just sit there and dodge and be a punching bag. And that right there is where she got me. I can't beat her up, she's my little sister. After Dad died, I became the man of the house, and being raised in a military family, I took this job very seriously. I studied harder, took up more sports like track and field. I was the ace of the basketball team. Made sure to score myself a scholarship for not only my academical achievements, but also for my athletic achievements. Oh, so I can ease the burden on my mom. I put in all this effort for the 2 most important people in my life just for us to die in the end. I made myself a promise to protect them from anything and everything. That is the reason I became a warmonger. All right, you win. I can't fight back. The moment I said that, she smiled at me, gave me a kiss on the cheek, and left to go to sleep. Next day, as evening rolled around, we all got ready for the baseball game. Emmett and Esme showed up in that huge Range Rover. Edward also came, but he came to get Bella. Esme mostly showed up for my mom. They get along wonderfully. They seem like a pair of long-lost sisters, if anyone were to see them. They both look like they are in their mid to late 20s, both strikingly beautiful, have some of the same hobbies, and they even look kind of like the eyes are the only really stark contrast between the 2. I mean, sure, they look different, but for someone who is just passing by minding their own business, they would have to look back and take a closer look to see the difference. As we all got in the car and headed out, it got a little cramp. So being the show-off that I am, I decided to sit on the roof and take a nap. The moment I woke from my little nap, we were almost there, but that was not the reason I woke up. The real reason I woke up is because I had a genius idea and knew just who would help me out. Just as the plan was done being formulated in my mind, we arrived. So for the time being, I put to the back of my mind and jump off the truck. As we all got down, I noticed Rosalie and her hostile stare towards Bella. I decided to intervene and deal with this family drama. I want to make sure that everything goes according to plan, so I make sure that everybody is on board. Even though Rosalie became more friendly over time. Let's speed up the process, shall we? Hey Rosie, how you been? I asked her, trying to start a conversation. Even though she looks to be in a bad mood, it is entirely concentrated on Bella, so she was very accommodating to me. I'm fine, been better. Emphasizing the word better very pointedly at Bella. Even though the girl in question can't hear Rose, everybody else could. Edward did not seem happy about it. The moment I saw that, I decided to abandon the plan and let nature take its course. Women are complicated, and I sure as hell don't understand them. So it is better to just let them come to terms themselves and butt in at opportune moments to ease the tension. All right, guys, to your bases, it's about to start, Alice said. Due to the fact that they have 2 superpower cheats on steroids, it was decided that I joined Alice's team, which includes Emmett, Edward, Alice, and me. Olivia would join the other team. Rosalie, Carlisle, Jasper, and her. Esme, Bella, and my mom stood on the sidelines. Oh, kids, no cheating. That means no powers. I will be watching. My mom said. I was just about to make a giant wall of air so that the ball could never go further than 10 meters from the batter. She just has to ruin it. Apparently, my sister had the same thought with her telepathy. She looks just as disgruntled as me. When the rest heard this, they remembered that I could control elements and that my sister has telepathy. They looked relieved that we aren't allowed to use them. The first to bat was Rosalie, just like in a movie. The difference is that even without my powers, I am better than them, so I just ran straight into the path of the ball as it passed by Alice on the pitcher mound, and caught it with no problem. "Wow, Rose, you really pack a punch," I said with a smile. Everybody's face fell collectively at that moment. They knew they couldn't beat me. So they sent in the big guns, early AK and my sister. My sister went ahead and stood at the batter plate. The moment Alice released the ball from her grasp, I could feel that this was going to be a long ball. The moment the ball struck the metal, I was already gone. If Rosalie on average could send the ball flying for about, let's say, 2 kilometers, then my sister could send the ball flying 8 to 10 kilometers. So I ran like there is no tomorrow. While I was running, my sister was just walking from base to base. She reached home just as I was about to catch the ball, but out of nowhere the ball tilted to the right suddenly, and I missed it. I knew that my sister had just played me, and there was no evidence. When I got back, they could all see a tick mark on my face, even though I was smiling, and my mother immediately figured it out. In the end, we were all having fun messing with each other. That was until the ball was sent flying and Alice zoned out. Everybody was more concerned about Alice than the ball. I didn't see them coming. They decided to head back because they heard us playing. She said, we all protectively went around Bella. My sister gave me the eye signal, so I knew just what to do. As soon as my sister gave me the signal, I had used my powers to make sure that no gust of wind passed by us, or mostly Bella. The encounter went mostly just like in the movie. And just like in the movie, I made a gust of wind pass by and carry over Bella's scent. The moment James got a whiff of that intoxicating scent from Bella, he basically went into a frenzy, ready to attack Bella. The moment he turned around, I sped up in front of him. Before anybody could react, I grabbed James by the head and lifted him to the ground. Well, hold it there, cowboy. Didn't we just say that she is with us, or did you not hear us? Do you want me to repeat myself? I asked him while he was dangling with his feet to the ground. Take it easy. We heard you just fine. Why don't you let him go and we will leave? Isn't that right, James? Laurent says. James doesn't answer immediately, but tries to pry my hand off of his head, to no avail. So in the end, he agreed, and I let him go. After that, they all left pretty quickly. When I turned back around, Edward was going through another one of his hissy fits about protecting Bella. This is the point where they decide to have Bella move to keep her safe. So, as we already know how this is going to go, we decided to skip ahead. Just find him for me. According to how Edward is going through a panic attack, our friend James didn't get our message. It's time to rip someone apart. How are you supposed to find him now that he is so far gone? Edward starts bitching again like always. This man just seems to forget that we are better than him in more ways than one. But to make sure that the Volturi all converge in one spot, we have to let Victoria go. Honestly, if this was back in the day, they wouldn't even be able to take one step before heads start flying. Now I have to follow the storyline to a certain extent. If not, we can't get the effect we want and might instead make things more complicated. Edward, my good man, telekinesis can also work in the form of echolocation, due to the fact that telekinesis is all about feeling your surroundings. If you master the art of telekinesis, you can not only move objects in sight, but also out of sight due to the feeling you get from them. And my sister, having been using telekinesis for the last 600 to 700 years, has a very good grasp on her abilities. Her range for telekinesis is about 20 kilometers, and if she focuses in one direction, she can double that amount. Now that we know in which direction, then it's easy. A vampire usually can travel at the speed of 160 kilometers an hour. That means that they travel at the speed of 2.7 kilometers a minute. They left like a minute or two ago, so they should still be within her range. They won't go too far cause James wants Bella like you said. I decided to explain to everybody. 100 miles for you Americans, meaning they travel at the speed of 1.7 miles per minute. Found him. They're about 10 kilometers northwest. James seems to have decided to break off from the pack for now. Perfect, he's going southeast in the direction of the town. Just as she says that, she looks at me. I have a feeling like she is about to say something degrading. And I was right. Go get him, you bloodhound. She tells me, and everybody except for the brooding and Edward and the panic attack having Bella laugh at her joke. Fine. I decided to just go with it. I headed southeast and found James almost instantly. I also noticed that Victoria was going to show up in a bit. So I did what any hero would do. I decided to torture James. All right, maybe that's not something a hero would do, but it's definitely something Dracula would do. Jamesy, what are you doing all the way out here all by yourself? I say in a very friendly voice. The only problem with this is my smile looks more like the kind of smile the Joker would pull off. Just as he was about to reply, I grabbed his head again, just like I did a while ago. Let me go. I get it, you're strong. We already had the deal that you would let us go, and I wouldn't chase that girl you guys have. He decided to go with reasoning. Yeah, that is true. Except one little problem, we have a mind reader in our group, dipshit. So we know that you have this little plan brewing to take care of the girl anyway. So I decided to depose of you first. As I said that I noticed Victoria was just right there, ready to save him. She was a little delayed. Because I squeezed my hand shut at pop goes the rock or diamond. It's hard to decide which one is better. What have you done? Victoria shrieks at me. Well, your little boy toy here was planning to take my brother-in-law's girlfriend, so I decided to get rid of the problem so they can have a smooth relationship. Man, it feels weird calling whiny Edward my brother. But gotta do what you gotta do, so now Victoria thinks it's all Bella and Edward's fault. That, ladies and gentlemen, is how you get away with murder. Well, I was thinking that Victoria disappeared. Well, I know burning trash is against the law and bad for the environment, but some things are just better gone. As I say that, I lit a flame on my palm, added some more oxygen to the mix, made the flame a pale blue, and threw it on James's body. That did the trick. The body burned to ashes within a minute. Man, do I love playing with fire. That was my last thought before I went back to the others. After I got back, I told them what I had done, but I conveniently left out the part where I implicated Edward and Bella. We all decided that that was enough for today. We all got in the cars and went back home. After dropping me and my family at home, Alice decided to follow us and spend the rest of the afternoon with us. Obviously, since we solved the James problem ahead of time, Charlie didn't have to worry about Bella, and there was no strain on their relationship due to the fact that they didn't have an argument because she never left. Maybe I should become a problem solver as a side job. I mean, I'm pretty good at it. My mom had a dinner date with Charlie again, and my sister went to stall. I mean, hang out with Jasper again. So I was all alone with Alice. So tell me, Alice, what do you want to do now that we are all alone in this big house? I say very suggestively. I don't know, what do you want to do? She says very seductively. And just as I was about to kiss her, she puts her index finger between us and pushes my face back. I may be all flirty, but you have to put a ring on this finger before you get into these pants. So buck up and hold on, cause this might take a while. She tells me that with a smirk on her face. Honestly speaking, didn't see this evening ending with me and blue balls. Also didn't think I would find out that my vampire girlfriend is technically still a virgin. I say with a surprised look on my face. Who said I was a virgin? I just said that before you could get in my pants that you would have to put a ring on my finger. And that's where she got me. So basically, I have to take responsibility for you if I want to take advantage of you. I inquired. Exactly. She answers back. All right, I get that, but I could at least get like a makeout session before I propose to you. I mean, I have to wait like a year before I can legally marry you based on the fact that you at the moment, according to your fake papers, are 17. I say. The moment I finished saying that she had used her vampire speed to straddle me and started kissing me like we hadn't seen each other for a decade. After a good 10 minutes of making out, she finally lets go of my face and separates our lips. Wow, why did you stop? You do know we don't need to breath, right? I say. I know, but gotta leave them wanting more. After she said that, she vamps speed to my front door and says, "See you at school tomorrow, Percy." And she disappears. When my mom and sister got back home, they saw me sitting on the couch with a blank face, and my mom asked me what's wrong, and my answer was, "I think my girlfriend is a vixen." They were really confused about it, but they decided to ignore it. Next day, the moment I got to school, I could feel the change in the atmosphere. My intuition was telling me that it was going to be a long day, and what do you know, like always, it was right. I had math for first period, and the moment I walked into class, I could feel all the women in TE class stare at me. That's when it hit me. It was the time for the dance where the girls asked the boys out. What do you know, the moment I sat down, a girl worked up the courage to walk up to my seat and ask me out. "Hi, Percy. I was just wondering with the dance coming up. I was just wondering if you would be willing to go with me. Now I'm already in a relationship, and I am a gentleman, so we let the girl down easy. Not like Bella, where she decided to go to a different state as an excuse to get out of the dance. Hi, Denise. That's your name, right? Sorry, I'm not really that good with names. I say, and she answered with a nod. I'm in a relationship with Alice Cullen. So I would like to commemorate you for having the courage to walk up and ask me. But I am sorry, I have to give you a no for an answer. And as an apology, let me treat you to something at the cafeteria. I say, letting her down gently with crash pads and pillows to land on. When the girls heard this, they were all sad that I was already taken. I mean, why wouldn't they? Not to be narcissistic or anything, but I'm not just eye candy, I'm the whole damn sweet shop. Throughout the day, news spread that me and Alice were official. However, right after school finished, I was ready to go to the parking lot. A girl stopped me. Hi. Percy, I know that you and that Alice Cullen are together. But I know for a fact that the Cullens aren't very social. So how about you ditch her and come to the dance with me? She says, trying to give off TE sexiest aura she can possibly manage, which surprisingly was a whole lot. But I'm not interested. Sorry, not happening. I stare at her coldly, and before she can even say anything, I already walked past her. Why this chick think that I would let go of my immortal little vixen for some second-rate gold digger? I walk into the parking lot, and Alice is already standing next to my car. So you heard all of that? I ask her. Yep, and for being such a good guy, I think you deserve a reward. She says with a very sexy smile. I have my hopes up, but alas, I will be disappointed because all we did was drive to the forest, run up a hill a bit, and make out while rolling around. All in all, not what I wanted, but as far as I can get with her, for now at least. As the days go by, I become more and more anxious for what is about to come. Also, due to our interference, Bella and Edward have had a smooth relationship up until now. A few days ago, we met the wolves, the Quileute tribe, one of the three shape-shifting clans. They were not that welcoming when my sister and I showed up at their meeting place. They quickly realized that they can't beat us, so they just stared at us threateningly. But you always have that one idiot, aka Paul. He tried to fight me anyway. To no one's surprise, he had his ass handed to him. Also met Jacob. Don't understand why Bella chose the 100-year-old grandpa, Edward, over the baby-faced Jacob. In the end, life is all about choices, and she made hers. We managed to get on friendly terms with the shapeshifters. Took some convincing, but we pulled it off. And finally, a few months after the James incident, it finally happened on the news. They were talking about a string of kidnappings and murders. The day is drawing closet to when I can absolutely massacre all of those newborns. The one thing we should have suspected, though, was the fact that after I showed Victoria would be more cautious and doubled her army, which is fine with me. We also decided to step in and stop Bella from injuring herself on her birthday. So there were no issues throughout the year, basically. We managed to convince the Cullens to take a little vacation in Alaska for a week or two, which happens to correspond with the timing in which Lauren visited Bella at the Cullen house. Too bad, Dorham, I was also there. Managed to convince him by force to retreat to Alaska. The Cullens had come back almost 3 days after they left due to the fact that Alice saw Lauren visiting Bella. Just the other day, they also got a visit from none other than Victoria. So here we're making a game plan to take care of her newborn army. Cullen living room. She has a newborn army of almost 50 people coming for us. How are we supposed to handle that? Also, what is the Volturi doing? They have to have had seen what's going on, right? Edward whining again. Do calm down. Just leave it to me. Don't need to throw a tantrum. Let me take care of it. Just as I say that, we hear Jacob open the front door and walk in. Why were you guys chasing one of your kind all over our territory? Jacob asked, concerned. Well, Jacob, my friend, your crush and imaginary girlfriend here is being stalked and plotted against by another vampire who wants revenge for killing her boyfriend. Olivia answers. Don't really know why, though. I mean, it was my brother who killed him, but she seems to think it was all Bella's fault, so she decided to attack her instead of him. She says, pointing at me. Jacob just stares at Olivia like she's public enemy number one. Because of the way she answered his question, especially the imaginary girlfriend part. Sitting on the love seat with Alice, I couldn't help but let out a little chuckle at that. So I decided to fill him in on the details. I want to help. I can get the guys from the pack to come along, and we can help you guys take care of all these newborns. As long as we can take care of some vampires, we are willing to work together. We're all of you so anxious for just let me handle it. The only thing I need is for Jasper to help me pick out a suitable location for that many people to gather. Also, the only thing you guys will have to do is make sure that if one gets past me, you guys can take care of that. I say very nonchalantly, as if it's not even my problem. My sister and mom agreed to keep everyone safe, so I had free rein to do as much damage as possible. Jasper and I spent a few hours after that finding the best location. Turns out the best location was the same one as the place in the movie. The place is actually bigger than what the camera was able to show. After many preparations were made to make sure that Bella doesn't accidentally die, we were ready, and apparently, so was Victoria. Because the next day we find out from Alice that the vampires are on the move from Seattle. Next day, we were all gathered in the clearing. Everybody was nervous except for the Winchesters. For some OD reason, Jacob decided to tag along like the lost puppy he is. Bella, make sure to stay next to my mom no matter what. You guys get ready for a show. They should be here any minute now. I then realized I forgot something. Olivia, quick question. Did you remember to pack my sword or my spear? I ask her hopefully. She looks at me and says, you should have prepared better. And I'm left speechless cause she is right. The thing is I don't need them, but it just feels better to shred them instead of just breaking them. But it's too pate now cause they're here. Well, let the massacre begin. The moment the words left my mouth, we saw a group of about 40 to 50 newborns walking towards us. I also noticed Victoria all the way in the back. All the way at the front is the man of the hour, Riley, a puppet Victoria made for her revenge. By making him believe that they were in love, he would do anything for her, except he doesn't know that he was used to take revenge for her dead lover. A tragic man, really. What is this? Riley asks. From his point of view, all he sees is me standing there nonchalantly and the other people standing about 5 meters behind me. Anyone who came prepared for war would be confused by this setting. Well, this, my dear friends, is what we would call a one-man army, otherwise known as me. I say with a creepy smile on my face. Riley looks at me and then starts to laugh. You do realize that I have around 50 newborns on my side, and you are all alone. Why don't you ask the others to help you? He advises me. No, I'm good. If they join in, I won't have all the fun. The thing is, though, I don't like to share. I say. After observing each other for a second, I say, so you want to make the first move, or should I? Before he could even react, I already ran up to the closest newborn and crushed his head. Well, I guess I should make the first move. All hell broke loose after that. The 3 closest newborns decided to gang up on me. They came running as fast as their legs would allow them. I grabbed 2 of their heads, one with each hand, and smashed them together on the last guy. All their heads blew up at the same time. Everyone stopped moving after I did that. They were all surprised. That's when they heard my laughing in the silence. Just like old times. The moment finished, saying that I run into the fray of them, and they all come at me at once. I grab the one in front of me and smash his head against the ground. I judo, throw one of them over my shoulder, and step on his head, smashing it to pieces. One of them tries to wrap their arms around me to crush me, but I grab his arms instead and kick his chest, effectively ripping of his arms and caving in his chest cavity. I use my ability to summon an earth spike, except I reinforced it by compacting the earth, so it weighs around 200 kilos. I picked it up and threw it with so much force that they didn't break after they were hit, but instead, after it left my hand, it skewered 2 of them. And to pay tribute to back, when they called me Vlad the Impaler, I picked up the spear with them still on it and stabbed the butt of the spear in the ground, letting them hang there. I jump into the air and kick the head of the newborn and send it flying like a soccer ball. I pick up the dead guy's body by the shoulders before I land and smash it against the guy a bit further. One of them manages to get past by me, but the moment he reaches within 3 meters of the others, he is crushed like a tin can. You're losing it, bro. He got away, and I had to take care of him. My sister teases. I completely ignore her and continue on with my fun. By the time, I took out more than half of them. I start to feel kind of bored. At this point in time, these newborns are like mindless chickens, so they all just keep coming at me the same way with no regard for their lives. So I decided to let one of them get hit in. The newborn takes his fist and punches me in the gut. I immediately felt disappointed by that. The so-called strongest newborn army was freaking weak as fist, didn't even hurt, not even an itch or a tickle. It felt like nothing. I mean, bullets do more damage than this. Then again, they're aerodynamic and meant to puncture. So maybe it's not his fault. So I decided to advise him. Bro, if you're trying to puncture someone with a fist, it would work on normal human beings. But on people like us, you gotta make your hand into like a sword like this. I show him and then drive my hand through his chest. See, much better. All right, I've exercised enough for today. I mean, there is no blood anywhere. What is wrong with you people? Fucking made of stone, there's no done in this anymore. I complain as I set everybody except for Victoria and Riley on fire and watch them burn in seconds with my blue flames. So how are we going to handle these two? I ask the Cullens as I turn around. But before anybody could say anything, my sister binds them and floats them over. The Cullens are all flabbergasted at the battle. The only one who is still oak is Carlisle, cause he's seen this happen before. Do you want to do it personally? Should I do it? Do you want it to be quick or slow? Tell me, what do you want me to do? I ask them again, they again don't answer. So my sister runs out of passions and crushes them into balls the size of a soccer ball and kicks them over the horizon. There it's taken care of. She grabs Jasper's arm and starts to drag him away. We're going on a date, she says. Jasper looks at us resigned and lets out a sigh and says, "Yes, ma'am," he says like with his southern accent. Before they could leave, though, everybody turned around and looked at one spot just by the tree line. That is when Tweedledum and Tweedledum walked out, also known as Jane and Alec. They slowly walked up to us. Once they stood 3 meters away from us, they decided to stop moving. I thought to myself, these Volturi members, all about the dramatics, man. Are any of them normal? Why do you have to walk like you're in slow motion when you are one of the fastest living things on the planet? I'm surprised you guys survived that. There were quite a few of them. The thing is, we don't remember there being so many of you in the Olympic Coven. Jane says in her usual flat tone. Alec is just standing there looking like a dimwit. God, that guy's face just looks so punchable. Carlisle steps up before anyone can say anything, also to make sure that no one says something stupid that would piss them off, mostly me. We just added new members to the Coven not too long ago. I will report to the Volturi at the end of the year, just like I always do. The reason Carlisle has to report to the Volturi every year is not because we are in a Coven, it's because of the size and potential of this Coven. I mean, we have a mind reader, a clairvoyant, and an empath in one Coven. Now add my family to the mix, and we have a revolution waiting to happen, so the Volturi keeps tabs on them. With Arrow's ability to see everything you have experienced, he could detect if the family had any plan to go against them. But this a typical case of the mantis stalks the cicada, unaware of the Oriole behind it. In this case, I'm the Oriole. Jane and Alex agree with Carlisle's words, and they departed. After they left, everybody to do their own thing. Mine is 7 months later. Today is my wedding day, a double wedding with Bella and Edward. A few weeks after the massacre, Alice turned 18. And due to our interference, Bella and Edward had a smooth relationship, so there was no reason for them to hurry and get married. So it took Edward a few months for him to ask Bella for her hand in marriage. The reason why it took so long for us to get married was because Alice wanted to have a wedding in summer, one of the least rainy and gloomy few months of the year up here in Forks. Alice had everything planned out, so I just sat back relaxed and let my fiancé take care of everything. Another thing that happened in this time was the fact that my mom and Charlie have made their relationship official. I honestly have no idea how that happened. My sister and I thought that it was just going to be another one of our mom's flings. Apparently, we were wrong. Is this that protagonist aura that you hear so much about? It just made Charlie a great partner just due to the fact that he is a protagonist. Or is the universe sending us a signal saying Bella is your problem now? Anyway, it happened, and now we have to deal with it. The wedding went amazing, finally married after more than 2,000 years of being single, with flings here and there. Jacob came to the wedding too, but he seemed kind of depressed. Olivia and Jasper decided to wait another year before they got married. Olivia wanted me to take care of the Volturi before she got anything concrete going. Alice and I had decided to go on our honeymoon to Paris, mostly cause she wanted to go shopping, and I became a dress-up doll for her. Also, Merlin made me this sweet space pouch with 10 square meters that I completely forgot I had until my mom found in the attic. Surprisingly, my sword and spear were in there. Good to know. Sadly now, it has become Alice's personal closet. But I was smart because I know for a fact that the universe does not stay off course for too long, so I booked our honeymoon to be a month from our wedding day and also made sure it was refundable. Just because I have money doesn't mean I'm going to waste it. In the meantime, Edward and Bella had just left for their honeymoon. Why didn't you book our honeymoon to be right after our wedding? Alice questions me. Honestly, I haven't thought of an excuse, so we gotta wing it. I just have this feeling that something is gonna happen, so I booked our flight later, just in case. As a warrior, I always trust my gut feelings, because they're mostly right. She just nods and agrees. I was totally right 2 weeks after they left, they came back. The reason it happened faster than in the movie is due to the fact that they were better informed about hybrid children being a possibility. So this time, Edward didn't go into denial and try to make her get an abortion. So I refunded all the expenses I paid for ahead of time. When Edward and Bella got back from their honeymoon, the first thing everybody did was look to my family for help. Cullen living room. The first thing we have to do is get her the proper nutrients for her and the baby. Due to the fact that this baby is growing at an accelerated rate, it is relying on its vampire genes to make that possible. So we need to feed that baby blood, and we accomplish that by giving Bella blood. My sister lays down the facts. The best option for everybody is for her to consume blood from one of us. She says while pointing at our side of the family. The main reason we want to do this is because our blood has healing properties, so it will keep Bella from becoming extremely sick due to lack of nutrients and iron in her blood. She takes a pause because this next part is going to be really heavy for them. This baby will be born in W non-traditional way. It cannot be birthed naturally cause it cuts its own umbilical cord basically. So it will have no oxygen, meaning it's going to try to claw its way out of the mother's womb. Very gruesome picture, I know. Now the problem is when the baby is born, Bella will stay alive for a relatively short amount of time. So we have to make the choice right now. Bella, do you want to be one of us? Or one of them? My sister asks Bella, can you guys give us a minute? Bella asks everybody in the house to give her and Edward some privacy. We all went out to the meadows behind the house. After around 10 minutes, we all came back, and Bella decided to be just like the Cullens. All right, if that is your answer, then we need one of you to turn her before she dies, or else she will be one of us. At this moment, Carlisle couldn't help but ask a question. What happens if she turns with your blood in her system? This was a valid question, because we all know that one has to die with our blood in their system to become one of us. But what happens when you don't die, but get turned into another subrace of the vampire species? Our blood will act like a sort of steroid. It will boost all her vampire traits by a small but significant margin. This effect gets weaker over time. The first 2 months, you are 2 times stronger than a newborn. After that, for the next 10 months, as a newborn, you are 1.5 times stronger than newborn. After that, depending on your luck, your strength will revert to normal, or it will stabilize at the strength of a newborn, meaning you either become like the rest of them, or you can become stronger than them. There were a few cases where after the first year, they were only enhanced in certain aspects like speed, strength, instincts, senses, or enhancement in your innate gifts. For example, if Edward was lucky, his gift would be enhanced, and he would be able to turn it on or off. His range would be increased. Maybe he would even be able to look into the memories of the person. My sister explained. After my sister gave an explanation, we decided to fill some thermoses with some of our blood. The reason is our blood is less attractive to vampires, due to the fact that they hold less nutrients. However, our blood will do the job for Bella, though. It will also stop her from becoming a sickly pale ghost that she looked like in the movie. After we had finished everything, we decided to head home. Before we left, I decided to take Alice on a little date, though. I also wanted to test out a little experiment. Alice, come here for section. I want to take you on a little date. I told her as she magically appears next to me. In all honesty, I think she just used teleportation magic, cause she moved too fucking fast. Just my imagination, but she is too hyperactive sometimes. We first decided to go hunting. The forest behind their house is filled with all kinds of animals. Honestly, the Twilight world is popping off with all kinds of predators. I mean, does the world just spawn mountain lions and grizzly bears every time one dies? Because I swear to God that I have hunted 3 mountain lions on the same damn mountain. Aren't they supposed to be territorial? After we finished hunting, we decided to hang out in an open field. We lied down next to each other, with Alice resting her head on my chest. We were just enjoying each other's company in silence. Life gets quite boring when you're the alpha of the entire planet. I mused out loud. Alice turned and looked at me, just as she was about to say something. The world around us freezes. There are no sounds. Her mouth is still open, but unmoving, and her body completely frozen in place. Well, that's quite the statement, don't you think? I hear from behind me. I immediately get up and look at the figure standing in front of me. He looked like Morgan Freeman. With that appearance, I knew who this was. Your assumption would be correct, Mr. Winchester. He told me with a deep voice. So what's a person like you doing in a place like this? I say back, trying to lighten the mood and get my nerves under control. Well, I see everything that happens. I know all about you and your family. Heck, I am the reason you're here, because you think some random ritual could allow souls to cross over to another universe. He says, I mean, he isn't wrong. If he is the real deal, then something like that would never happen without him knowing, better yet, without his permission. So, tell me, what have I done to call someone like you over here? You haven't seemed to care so much about me and my family till now. Well, you just said that it is tiring being alpha, so how about we just make a few more? He says with a smile. This world's story is coming to an end quicker than it should have due to you. So how about we spice it up, shall we? That was the last thing he said before he disappeared. When he disappeared, the world resumed. I also felt some kind of cosmic energy wash over the world, and it got me real nervous. How did you get all the way over there all of a sudden? Alice asked me curiously. Then she looked at me worried when she noticed my nervous expression. I immediately picked her up and ran back to the Cullen residence at full speed. I had an inkling of an idea of what God had just done, and I was very nervous about it. On the other hand, also very excited. I bursted through the Cullen home's front door. I noticed that my mother and sister also had worried looks on their faces. Most likely, they could also feel that wave of cosmic energy, and unlike me, they had no idea why. So they were starting to stress out. I pulled them aside and instruct my mom with hand signs to erect a soundproof barrier. I may have fucked up. The moment those words left my mouth, they immediately knew it was my fault. What did you do? My mom very calmly but very aggressively asked. I may have talked to God and given him the impression that I was bored, which led to him, somehow, changing something to entertain himself. I say very nonchalantly, try and make it sound like something that wasn't important. My mother and sister, on the other hand, did not seem to think the same way. Explain. Now, this time my mom was pissed, and I was sweating a little bit. No matter how big your balls are, everybody knows that it's better if you don't piss of your mom. So I immediately explained what happened. At the end of the story, my mother looked tired and my sister looked pissed. My family and I had spent about a week trying to find out what God had decided to change. The thing that surprised us the most is that it was a small change. Apparently, night walkers aren't as rare as they used to be. There is even a small family that claims to be the first of our kind. Also, witches are no longer extinct. That was a surprise. We have concluded that God didn't make the world more dangerous. He just made the world a whole lot more annoying. If you want to know the reason, then we'll have to go back a little when we figured out what he did. Flashback. Alice and I were sitting on the couch at my house. My mom and sister had left to go and buy groceries. She was reading a fashion magazine while she rested her legs on my lap, while I was busying myself watching football on the TV. Hey, Percy, I never asked, but if you're the very first of your species, the oldest of your kind, then why is there a little family calling themselves the originals? Alice asked me. My head whipped to look at her, and I just stared blankly. What are they calling themselves? I asked her to make sure my super hearing hasn't started to fail me. They call themselves the originals. So how does that work? You are a Nightwalker who is over 2,000 years old. This family is only about 1,000, so why are they called the originals and not you guys? She asked me, all innocent, with a very pensive and inquisitive look. So I answered her question. Just some fools running around thinking they are powerful. I try to act nonchalant and pull it off successfully. She nods and continues reading her fashion magazine. A few hours later, she decided to go home, and I told her that I would come snuggle with her later, but I needed to take care of something first. She nodded and left. The moment I close the front door, I hear a poof and see a note appear out of thin air. I grab the note and read it. Interesting, right? You'll have to mingle with the plot for the original series. 'Cause that dagger from Papa Tund, I enchanted it to injure you guys. Isn't it exciting? When stabbed or injured, your healing will be as slow as a normal human being's, and it will hurt just as much as if you were human. Alpha Predator can't sleep if you don't have the dagger. Love your dear God, Morgan Freeman. That sadistic fuck. He is absolutely screwing us over. I wanted an easy and enjoyable life. Now, I have to go hunt down a dagger. I don't even know where it is. My sister and I only watched like the first season of the show. Fuck. Flashback end. After that, I had received another note stating that the plot for the originals will start after the plot to Twilight ends. So here we are stuck in Fort Washington for the next few years. After I am done with the Volturi, I will head over to Mississippi and take care of this. I will take Alice with me. We can leave my sister and mother. Don't want them to be accidentally subjected to that dagger. Now that witches are back, I need to head to one of our old mansions and look for all the grimoires that we had hidden. Need to read them, see if I can find something that will bind Alice's life force to me. That way she won't die no matter what. Also need to find a trusting witch. Never mind, I can just compel them, hopefully. On a side note, Bella seems to be getting a little bulge on her stomach, and she still looks pretty healthy. So we don't have to worry about her, for now at least. Percy, what are you thinking about? You've been frowning since this morning. Did you and Alice have a fight or something? My mom asked me. No, it's fine. I was just busy making some plans after we take care of the Volturi. I had decided to take Alice on a little trip, also to take care of our new problem. I tell her. I hadn't exactly elaborated with my family about the whole dagger thing. My mother just nods and lets it go.
Hello, everyone. As we wrap up this video, I want to share a quick note. I have a Patreon account. If you'd like to support me and enjoy on-demand audiobooks, you can become a Patreon member. Alternatively, you can check out my Google Drive link, which has 500+ novel audiobooks available through my Ko-fi or Patreon shop. I appreciate your support.